Hi, this video is about Chapter 2, Tabular and Graphical Methods. And basically in this chapter we learn which types of charts we might want to use to depict different types of data. As you might imagine, one shoe does not fit all, and so given the type of data we have to use a particular method to graphically depict these data. So when we want to use graphs to describe our data, we need to first determine the type of data we have, and then you have to clarify in your mind the point you want to make with your graph. This is a really important element and really much more of an art than it is a science. I can tell you the graph to use, but only you can make the graph tell the story you're trying to tell. So if we think back to what we learned in Chapter 1, we learned that qualitative data has two basic types, nominal and ordinal data. Nominal data, we know, is the least sophisticated of data, and it enables us really to just sort of categorize and group people. So like gender is a great example of nominal data. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to add up the number of males and the number of females and then divide by and get an average, because either you're a male or a female. So nominal data is best depicted in things like pie charts. Ordinal data, on the other hand, tends to be sort of categorized and ranked. They may not be the most meaningful rankings in the world, but they do tend to be ranked. And so often a bar chart is a better way of depicting that than, say, a pie chart. Now let's take a look at those in this next slide. Now you notice the graph on the left is a graph that's a pie chart, and it depicts age segmented off in various categories. So we have 37% of our population here being 70 and over. We have 15% between 0 and 24 years. We have 17% between 15 and 49. You get the idea. Now on the right side, now that's a pie chart, and then on the right side I have a bar chart that depicts the way that age is changing over time. So you notice there we've got 0 to 24 in the first column here, and this was the first time it was depicted in 2005, and then here we have 2010. So we have a relative less percentage of people that are between 0 and 24 in this data set. And then here we have we have the next one, and you can see how it's changed over time, and you see that in the 70 and older it has gone up as well. So depending on what you want to do, you need different charts. So in the case of the qualitative data, where we have age data, it's very much categorical. If we want to depict it over time, we might want to use a bar chart, versus if we just have one sample we're trying to show, a pie chart might be more appropriate. Now when we talk about quantitative data, which we're going to use a lot of in this class, remember these data are interval or ratio. So interval meaning that there's like a meaningful difference between 1 and 2, and it has a meaningful 0, versus ratio where again it's a meaningful scale, but the 0 represents the absence of something. So with these there are many more types of graphs we might want to use. Some examples over there on the right: frequency distributions, histograms, and scatter plots. So let's just take a look at those and talk about what we might use those for. Here is an example of a histogram. A histogram is a type of a frequency distribution. It groups the data into classes that we call intervals and records the frequency with which we see that event occurring. So in the first group here, you can see that we had frequency of 4 occurrences of 400, and then we had 11 occurrences of 500 and 14 of 600. And it graphically depicts it in this manner. We call this a frequency distribution, but also a histogram, like I said, is a specific type. We use these in grading all the time. And this is another way we can tell if our data is normal. We'll get into that in the next chapter. If we want to look at okay, so just to back up for a second, a frequency distribution enables us to see the frequency of an event occurring. So the frequency is a very specific thing. It's the relationship between the frequency of something occurring and something occurring. So how many C's are passed out in a particular semester, or B's, A's, etc. That's the frequency of that event. Now, a scatter plot, which is the next graph we're going to take a look at, we could possibly use it to depict the same sort of thing, but it wouldn't be as effective because a scatter plot is really designed to depict the relationship between two different variables, whereas the histogram is specifically only able to depict the relationship between frequency and this event. Now here we've got a scatter plot where we're looking at the relationship between two variables, the salary and so please delete that previous slide, the scatter plot I had before, and let's just use this one. So start here. So here we have a scatter plot, and it depicts the relationship between two variables. And in this case, we're looking at the average income and the years of college. And you can see that depending on the number of years of college, the income goes up, right? So if you have 0 years of college, you're down here around the origin of the graph, and then it goes up with more and more years of college. This is a quick and succinct way to see the relationship between two variables. Now, this one here is the relationship between income and college, but there's lots of other ways that we can do this. In the example video that I have on creating a scatter plot, I have several different types of examples that you could look at to see how you might use this. Okay, so this is a relatively short chapter. The concepts are pretty straightforward, but the big part of this chapter is for you to practice. So I really would like you to read chapter 2 carefully. Also read the assigned theory article, provides a great background to this stuff. And then I want you to watch the videos that I've created on creating a histogram and a scatter plot. And although it's not listed there, I have another one on a pie chart and a bar chart. And then complete these homework problems that are listed there so that you're prepared to do it. And remember that the idea of this class is that you learn the basics via watching the video, but then we're going to practice this stuff in class. So the majority of the time that we spend in class will be on practicing. And whether you're live or you're an online student, it will be the same thing. We will do the practicing and I'll show you how to do stuff. So the videos are designed to give you a tool that you can use, both the videos for how to do Excel and how to do understand the theory, but there's always practice time in class. And so we'll get to that. All right, so I hope this was interesting and have a great day.